I have a full day of putting up stuff in the kitchen today. Yesterday Matt and I worked outside and harvested a lot of stuff, but we didn't get everything harvested. There's still some green beans, so I won't be working on green beans today. But I've got corn sitting behind the camera there. I've got 2 buckets of tomatoes that need to be put up. I've got my tomatoes over here I'm going to use those to do juice again like I did the other day. But the first thing I want to do is use up some of my zucchini. These feel pretty good. I've had this one in the refrigerator so it's cold. But I'm going to make pickles. Now there's all kinds of different pickles, and there's hardly ever met a pickle that I didn't like. I like all of them. There are several though that I try to make every year. I did not make these last year, so we missed them. But I have some videos on some of the others. There's a bread and butter pickle that I love. Of course, I love the dill pickles. I've got some fermented pickles, a recipe or a video about those. I love those, and that's on my list to make this year too. Of course, there's the 14-day pickles. I've already made them earlier this summer, so those are already made. I already made my dill pickles. So today I want to get on the squash and zucchini. And I say squash and zucchini, it could really be either. You could use all squash, you could use all zucchini, be just fine, or you could use a mixture of both. And I think a mixture of both is really pretty in the jars. Tastes about the same. Not much difference at all in the taste, of course, because zucchini and squash taste similar. And by the time you add all the other stuff, it's about the same taste. It just makes your jars prettier if you have some green and some yellow, I think. I don't have much squash though. I've got just a few little ones that I had hanging out in my refrigerator. We've eaten all the rest that we've harvested recently. I could take a loop out in the yard and see if there's any, but I may just try to concentrate on this. If I go outside, I get waylaid by other things that I need to do out there, and I find myself what I thought was going to be a quick trip takes 30 or 40 minutes. Anyway, I'm going to go over the recipe with you, and then we'll get started on it. It is in mine and Jim's cookbook, Celebrating Southern Appalachian Food. It's on page 180. I have the recipe on the Blind Pig and the Acorn too, so I will link to that in the description. So you're going to need 4 quarts of squash or zucchini or a mixture, sliced, 2 quarts sliced onions. And as far as, some people might ask me how thick or how thin, I would just you don't want them really, really thin, or they might just dissolve on you. So I don't know if that's like 1/4 of an inch, or maybe less than, maybe 1/8 of an inch. I'm not sure. I'm terrible about measurements, but just keep that in mind. They can be thick enough to where they won't just cook away on you, and they don't need to be real thin. Just slice them and you'll be fine. 1/2 cup of salt, 2 quarts of ice, 5 cups sugar, and that may be reduced to 3 cups if you want a less sweet pickle, 5 cups vinegar, 1½ teaspoons turmeric, 1 teaspoon celery seed, 2 teaspoons mustard seed, and then of course you'll need your jars and your lids and your rings, and sterilize those. So like many pickles, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to slice up those squash and zucchini and the onions, mix them all together and cover them with salt, or mix that salt in, not really cover them, just cover them and then stir it all up. And then we're going to cover it with ice. We're going to put ice over it, and we're going to let it sit for 3 hours. So that's the first step. I'm going to have to get started on it, and then in between that, I like to do things like that when I'm thinking about the big day of cooking or canning, so that can kind of be sitting to the side while I'm working on some of that other stuff. After that, we will drain the squash mixture and set aside, and then we're going to combine all the other ingredients and heat just till boiling. Add drained squash mixture, add it to that, and heat for about 5 minutes. And then we're going to ladle hot pickles and liquid into clean jars and seal, and we'll process in a water bath canner for 5 minutes. And then of course after cooling, you'd want to make sure that all your jars had sealed. I usually check them the next morning. If there's one that didn't seal, just put it in the refrigerator and eat it first. It's what I do. Okay, I'm going to get started on the chopping. Now if you have a big zucchini like this, you may not have a big one. Sometimes they hide. For me, that's what happens, and they get this big. If I have one this big, I just cut it in half. Now if those seeds are kind of big, let me get a spoon. you can, if you wanted to, you could take the time to actually just cut that part out. I usually don't, though, I'll be honest with you. Probably should, but don't. I'm about to sling most of it in the floor. And then once you've got that middle out, if you want to take it out, then you can cut them into smaller pieces to slice. I've got the great big zucchini and I've got some teeny tiny squash. That'll be okay. I've really got 4 quarts there, but I think I'll use the rest of this one. Okay, now that is more than the recipe's called for. So I've made them so often that I feel comfortable doing that. If I need to, I'll just make a little bit more brine, like if I had an extra jar or something. Maybe use a little bit more salt, a little bit more of everything, since that's probably, I don't know, maybe a pint more or something like that. But now, see, I've got several on the floor. I need to pick them up, and then I need to get on my onions. It's the thing about making them in rounds, they roll off on you. Okay, now I'm going to get on my onions. I like to do the first part with just a little knife. This is one I've been using a lot. It's an old hickory. It was probably, I think it was our knife. I say knives because there was a whole set of them. Many years ago, Miss Cindy had a set, and I don't remember how this happened. Maybe we got a new set, I can't remember how, but she ended up with our knives anyway. And after she passed away, of course, we brought all that kind of stuff here, and I don't think there might have been a great big butcher knife, but then there was this one, and I just know she used it a lot, which I like that. Granny has some of the little Rada, ever how you say that, the little silver handled knives, paring knives. I have some too. Granny has used them so much, and they've been sharpened so much that they're little and they're kind of rounded, but that's what she likes. That's the ones that she likes to use. So it's nice to have those, even if you don't have any connection. If you just bought it and thought, man, this is a good feeling knife or whatever, it's nice to have something that feels good and works good to use. I know Matt feels like that about his tools. It's funny, the other day, one of my cousins was talking about, we were talking about just all kinds of stuff, but talking about Pap, and she said that she remembered he had a favorite hammer when he worked. I thought, yeah, it's like how we all have little favorite things. Of course, I don't have a favorite hammer, but I have favorite knives and favorite pans and favorite spoons and spatulas and things like that. I don't know how many onions I need. I'm going to start with these. Should have got a bigger trash bowl, compost bowl here. I'm already about to overflow it. And just to make these easier to slice, I always just cut them in half. Just makes it so much easier. And if you wanted to, you could even cut them in half and again the other way. Thinking about eating them, making them easier to get out of the jar, which they'll get real soft as they cook too. Well, I'm going to be close, but I think it's going to take one more onion. Maybe I can find a small one over there. This one will do it. I'm going to look for one more. Okay, I think that'll do it. A little bit more than 2 quarts, but again, I used a little bit more than 4 quarts of the other stuff, so. I don't think my bowl's big enough. I'm gonna have to go find a bigger bowl. Okay, this one should suffice. That smells wonderful already. I didn't have many yellow squash, but even with the ones I had, you can see how pretty it looks. Put the salt in. Now I'm going to get my ice. I never have the full 2 quarts of ice. We don't use a lot of ice. I don't know why, we just don't. And so I have 3 ice trays, and we don't have an ice maker. I actually do have one in the basement, like a little electric one that Matt bought me, but of course I never think ahead to plug it up. So I'll just use those 3, and those zucchini that I used out of the refrigerator will help cool it a little bit. But in other words, it's okay if you don't have the 2 quarts. I never do. Okay, so I'm gonna try to get it to come out. Remember those old metal ones? Can you remember those? If you're as old as I am, you can. Okay, I'm going to cover this. It's 11 o'clock, so that'll be easy for me to remember the 3 hours, and then clean up a little bit and get started on my next project. I think I'll move this over to the table though. So I'm ready to start on my tomatoes now. We've got a few left. Actually, I think I got them all. Started to say a few left for eating. I may pick out 1 or 2 of these and leave them out. That looks like a good one to leave out. These are ones that Matt and I got yesterday though. So when it comes to putting up your tomatoes, there's just so many different ways to do it. And you have to find what works best for you. After all these years, of course, I have my method, but it doesn't mean my method's the best. It just means that that's what works for me. I've tried different things. Last year I tried, for the first time, like not taking the skin off, just putting the whole tomato in a Vitamix and really chopping them up to where it was just a frothy, thick liquid and canning that. That was okay, but I prefer them to do them this way. A lot of people would take all these tomatoes and they put them in the freezer, and then once you get them out of the freezer, the skin just really easily peels off, and then they would process them. I've never tried that just because I like to be done with it, if you will. I like to mark things off my list, so I want these, when I'm done with these, I want to be done with them. I don't want to have another step to do. But there's lots, like I said, you just have to find what works best for you. So what works best for me, what I do, is that I take a tomato. This is a good one because there's a bad place like that right there. So if there is a little bad place, I just cut that out. And then I go ahead and core them, take that middle out. And then usually, since I cut that place off of that one and I wash them, you can see there's some leaves. Since I cut that out of this one, I won't do anything else other than wash it. And then I've got some water boiling on the stove, so I'm just going to put them in my colander over here. So this one is a good example. Actually, it's not either. Let me find one that's a good example. The thing with growing your own tomatoes, they're all different. They're not uniform, like maybe the ones you'd buy at a farmer's market or something like that. But so like this one, for example, good tomato. I would just take the core out, that part, and then on the bottom I just do an X, and that just helps the peeling come off easier. And then I rinse it, and that's all. As I'm going through them, though, I will look for ones that might have I think that was the one. Like this one, that's kind of a split, but I don't consider that a bad place. So again, I would just, and here Ira's having a big time over there. And then do my little split. Probably didn't even need to on this one because it was already kind of split, but this one's got a kind of a bad place on it. So I'll just kind of gently, I need my other knife because this one's getting dull on me. Get that out. And that's just, I'm going to have to change knives immediately. Okay. Let me try another knife. Get my little tomato knife. If you've never used one of these, it's Rada, R-A-D-A, and you just look for tomato knife and you can find them. They work great for tomatoes. Another thing that makes, like we just can what we grow. So we love the Cherokee Purple, but often they're, you know, you're going to get different sizes, even different. I was trying to find, like there's a big one. Sometimes they get those cat faces, like they're shaped funny. But I just kind of cut around what I can and get the tomato that way. It is easier and quicker if you know, have uniform tomatoes. And there's some tomatoes, you know, that are known for putting up. Like a lot of people like to put up Roma tomatoes. They're kind of all uniform. But we just love the Cherokee Purple. So that's what we grow and that's what we put up. Sometimes you have to cut down into them and get out the bad places. And you could just discard that, but I prefer to try to salvage any that I can. There's more on the vines outside getting ripe too, but I know Matt'll be. We already had one. We stopped and had our dinner, so that's what we had, was a tomato sandwich. I had a foldy and Matt had a whole one. So our next step after this, the way I do it, is just to plunge these in boiling water for just a minute or so that the skin will come off. And then I get the skin off and put them all in a big pot and kind of use my potato masher to just mash them all down. I don't worry about the seeds. Some people, that's another thing, variation people do. Some people want to get a tomato that doesn't have many seeds, or they want to, you know, try to get all the seeds out as they process them. We don't worry about the seeds. And then once I do that, I'll let it cook for, I don't know, 20 minutes or something like that. Some people let theirs cook down a lot. I don't do that. I just let it cook about 20 minutes, and then I put it in the jars. And even that, there's, you know, modern canning experts will tell you, and you should follow them. I'm not telling you not to follow them. You should, but they suggest either pressure canning or, that's an awful pretty one too. Maybe I'll save that one for that. Pressure canning them or water bathing them. We use the open kettle method, which just means everything's hot, and as it cools, it seals. That's not recommended, though, by canning experts. And we put a teaspoon of salt in each jar. It's interesting for me to watch. Of course, I've been putting up stuff my whole life. Me and Matt's been married 30 years, but even prior to that, helping Granny, so it's been something I've been around my whole life. And Corey has been, too. And Katie, you know, helping me and seeing how it's done and all that. But it's so different when you're finally doing it all on your own. So, of course, I went through that when me and Matt was first married, and I'd call Granny a million times a day and say, well, how do you do this? Well, how do you do that? Well, should I do it this way or should I do it that way? And now Corey, it's interesting to that she's doing that too. I mean, her and Austin's been married a few years now, but last year she didn't really get to put up much stuff because of having a new baby, and this year she's really expanded her garden and expanded her putting up stockpile too, so she's had lots of questions, and this is an interesting one. Like I was telling you, sometimes they'll have funny little cavities like that in them, but I'm just going to leave that one. Anyway, it's been interesting to see her and look at her little shelves, and I was looking at those early this morning. I said, it's like an apothecary down there. She's got her stuff drying, a lot of herbs and things like that, and then she's got all of her canned goods that she's made, but she'll just have to find her way, and she may not do things exactly like I do. She'll have to find what works best for her, and like I don't do everything exactly like Granny did. I do the tomatoes the same way, but there's other things that I do slightly different than how Granny did them. I just had to figure out what worked better for me. It's a real joy, though, to put up food, and you know, everyone can't have a garden, I know that, and not everyone can even go to the farmer's market and buy stuff, but if you get to, it's a real pleasure. And one of the very easiest things to put up is jelly or jam. Those are the easiest. So that's, if you've never done it but you're interested, that's where you could start. Running out of room, but I've about got them. And this is how I'll do. I just wait till we have like a flush of tomatoes, till my counter gets full, and I'm tired of looking at them. Of course, you can't let them stay there forever anyway, or they'd go bad. And then I'll decide, okay, today I'm going to can tomatoes. So it's more, for me, the tomatoes are more like dribs and drabs, as they'd say. It's just a little bit at a time. I might do 5 jars one day, and 7 or 8 the next day, and then maybe just 3 the next time I can. It's one of those pretty Randy Hooper tomatoes. Here's one of those big ones that I was talking about that can get funny, and this one's not feeling very good. It's kind of feels bad all over. I'm just going to cut down through the middle of it and see what happens. You want to cut away any that's, might be bad or started to decompose or whatever.
I was trying to put a really large cucumber in a tiny raisin box.
You see? That's funny. I was playing in my cucumbers. That's another thing I want to do. I'm probably not going to get to do it today. Maybe I could get up early in the morning. I want to make some of Betty Jean's cucumber relish. It has to sit too. At least she usually likes to do it. She said overnight, but it has to at least sit about 4 hours. So my time frame for today is probably about gone for that. I thought I lost my knife under the tomatoes, but I'm at the bottom of the tomatoes now, and it ain't here. Another thing I'm going to have to do is go to the basement and get me some jars. I think I have about 3 up here, y'all. I don't know, 7 or 8 maybe. Okay, I'm going to discard all my trash there, my cores and bad places, and on to the next step. I got my tomatoes ready to get the juice out of them, and Matt's going to do it for me out here on the porch so I can continue in there on the on the stove, using the stove. The bottom part of the steam juicer has water in it. This is the collection where all the juice will collect, and then once it does, it comes out the side of the pan into this tube, and then you just have to have something to catch it. We're just using a pot here. And then the top part of the steamer is where you put your fruit, or in this case your tomatoes, whatever you're trying to get the juice out of. You can see I've got all those beautiful tomatoes, and then I just threw in the end of the tomato that me and Matt ate for lunch. Well, it's been a little bit longer than 3 hours. I guess 3 hours and 45 minutes to be exact. But I've made headway with Matt's help. Matt's been helping me. So we ended up with 8 quarts of tomatoes. That was great. And then we ended up with 2 quarts and 1 pint of tomato juice with about that much left over. And I was going to go down and get a jelly jar or something, put it in it, but I thought, no, I'll just let it cool down and I'll drink it. I'll drink that. So now I'm ready to do the pickles. They've been sitting over there with their eyes, so I'm ready to drain them. I've already got my other stuff, my vinegar and my sugar and all my spices. So, and I've got my jars ready. So all I need to do is go over to the stove and get this heated and then drain the squash and zucchini, which is kind of difficult when it's in something this big. I'll probably just scoop some out at a time. I have this little, just an old dipper. It come from my Granny Gazzy though, so I love it for things like that. So I keep it handy and I use it. I've already used it once today. I put too much water in my tomatoes when I was gonna put them in the boiling water to get the skins off just for a minute, and I had way too much water. So of course, as I put the tomatoes in it, they start coming out the top. So I used it for that. Comes in really handy for things like that. So I'm going to drain them, and then we'll be able to make our brine and make the pickles. I love this big bowl. I've got several stainless steel bowls that Miss Cindy got me, all of them. She got this one, and there's a smaller one, then there's those 2 that I use all the time that you see in all my videos that I leave up here. The 2 bigger ones I store in the basement, except for during canning season when I need them for that. But they come in really handy. Of course, she knew that, and that's why she got them for me. This smells so good. Smells so good. Silly me, I put the pickles in the thing I needed to make the brine in, so I had to pour them in one of my big bowls. Here's the vinegar. Put that in. And the sugar. And the turmeric, the mustard seed, and the celery seed. The turmeric smells so good. Now we'll just let this heat to boiling, and we'll add our squash and zucchini and onions in. Our mixture is just now starting to boil, so I'm going to start putting the vegetables in. Smelling good, Matt?
Yeah, it's smelling all through the house.
I'll stir them in good, and then I'm going to let them cook for about 5 minutes, and we'll be ready to put them in the jars after that. Isn't it pretty though? Especially that turmeric kind of gives them brightens the green, and I wish I had more yellow, but you can see how pretty that is. So we'll let them cook for about 5 minutes. Okay, it's been about 5 minutes. I can start putting the pickles in the jar. Get any, I got that one a little full, but it'll be okay. But if you get any on the outside, you can wipe it off. This will be ready to go in the canner. Your zucchini probably won't be as big as mine, so you don't have to worry about it, but I use my little debubbler just to push everything down where it's supposed to be. Okay, I'm on my last jar. I've got some brine left over, but I added extra brine and a little extra vinegar, I should say, and a little bit extra sugar because, remember, I added more squash and zucchini than it called for. So, what you can do with that, of course you could just discard it, but I wouldn't do that. It makes a great salad dressing, so you could just let it cool off, put it in the refrigerator, and use it like that. You could actually can it. You could just put that in a jar and can it like along with your pickles. And then you would have that to add to a sauce, to open it up and make your salad dressing, you know, sometime during the winter. You didn't want to use it right now. So there's lots of different things you could do with it. You could, also you could make like there's a few little onions that I left. You could cut you up, since this is the beautiful time of bounty in the garden. I could take that and just put some cucumbers in it, some more onions, like use it for a, you know, make a refrigerator pickle or something like that out of it. A lot of people love to cut up onions and cucumbers and put vinegar on them and keep them in the refrigerator during the summer. Well, this would be really tasty because it's got the spices in it and the sugar and the vinegar. So I'm going to pour all this into a jar though. About a pint extra that I ended up with. And if I hadn't added the extra sugar and the extra vinegar, I probably wouldn't have ended up with that much. So Matt's gonna do the water bathing for me out on the porch. I've got all of those. Let's see, how many jars did I end up with? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 jars of pickles. And I didn't pack them real tight though. You may prefer to pack yours real tight, so you might end up with less. And then I have the jar of the extra brine. So I'll probably keep, just so Matt don't have to do this but once, you can do these, and I'll just put this in a little pot of water and water bath it in here. And that way we'll be all done. That's just now bringing his in. I got mine done quick in here. It's easier for me to... I'm not saying it like that. I'm just saying that it was easier for me to do mine inside here. Oh, they're pretty, aren't they? And I only had 2, and my water come up to heat quicker. I might had to wait on his to start boiling before he added his jar, so. I didn't finish much before you though, just a minute or 2. They're pretty jars. Wish I'd had more yellow squash to go in them. Not that it would change the taste at all, but just that makes them prettier. I didn't have many though. We've been eating all the squash.
Give us some sweet beans and cornbread.
Oh yeah. Just kind of insulate them until they start pinging. Well, big day of putting up. We didn't get everything finished though. We still have the corn back there.
Still got beans to pick.
We still got beans to pick, but we got a lot done. Got some tomatoes to put on the shelf, some tomato juice, and these pickles. So
Probably can some more potatoes.
yeah, we're gonna can some more potatoes. But they will wait on us a little bit. That corn won't wait on us. Maybe one more day. Tomorrow, we're gonna have to get it. That sounded like a goat instead of Ira.
I hear phantom baby cries all the time now. I hear animals outside and I'm thinking baby.
I think that was something on TV, maybe goat or something. Anyway, it's really nice to spend a day like this putting stuff up. Sometimes towards the end of the summer you get kind of tired of it, but boy, you're not tired of it on a cold winter day when you open a jar and eat some of it.
That is true.
Matt said these pickles would go good with soup beans and cornbread. They would, but they're really good. My favorite way to eat them is like on a sandwich. They add something really nice to a sandwich. Whether it's ham and cheese or whatever, kind of like a sub sandwich if you're thinking about that. And I didn't get to make any last year, so this is good. Good that we got them this year. Our squash and zucchini didn't do as good last year as it has this year. We've not been able to keep up with eating it really. So, but I made a good dent in the zucchini that I had hanging around today, except those 2 over there, and I think I'm going to shred those and put those in the freezer so that we can eat them in cakes this winter.
Sounds good.
Sounds like a good plan.
Yep.
I would let you toast me with the tomato juice, but this is all there is. You probably don't want to drink after me, do you?
So what you're saying is you really don't want me to have it, just go ahead and come out and say it.
So I can keep it for myself.
There's 2 excuses there for me not to have any. That's okay.
No, just tease them. We're always glad when you stop by to help us celebrate Appalachia.